Hi everyone, Wednesday again, March the 30th. This week I have a short little interview with a pilgrim that walked in from just before Sarria. She walked in the other day and I had an interview with her. I talked to her yesterday on the square. Unfortunately, I had a problem with my microphone, so I have no audio. I only have the video, which is of course the best thing to have is to have the audio, but I don't have it. So it was a short conversation, so I'll give you a little bit of a summary what she said about her walk. Also, I have a little bit of local news related to pilgrims and people traveling in and out to and from Santiago. And also, we'll talk a little bit about new COVID restrictions in Galicia and in Spain that has been just announced. So that's all coming up. All right, so let's do some local news first. Let's have a look at some of the local papers. The other day it was announced that Ryanair is going to start flying to and from Santiago from Dublin and Bordeaux. And they also down here links, they don't link, but they mention all the various destinations that you can currently fly directly from. And you can see it's a lot of towns here in Spain and also outside of Spain where you could have a direct flight. Some of these flights haven't started yet, but they're coming up. And some flights are not daily, but you could search for them online and you will see that there's starting to be much better connectivity to and from Santiago now by plane. Of course, you have the new high-speed train that has been finished and is currently running from Madrid. So it's 3 hours, 15 minutes, something like that, to get to Madrid now, which is quite nice. So sometimes you might actually save some money if you buy your plane ticket to and from Madrid and then take the train up. So that's that. And then also, there was a newspaper article today saying that the hotels in Santiago for Holy Week, for Easter, are 90% booked right now. And we're still a week and a half, 2 weeks away from Easter, which means if they're at 90% now, these are hotels in Santiago. It means that probably the hotels that are in Old Town are fully booked or very close to fully booked. There are a few larger hotels that are on the outskirts of Santiago that have a lot of rooms, and I'm sure they are the ones that have the available beds for Easter at this moment. So this is probably going to be true for many places around Spain this year in Easter. If you're walking in Easter or starting to walk in Easter, I would recommend at least to book those busy holiday days. Since I think there's a lot of Spaniards traveling and tourists in general just coming to Spain for Easter. And it might be a good idea to have a reservation. So 90% in Santiago as of right now. Pilgrim-wise, 254 got their Compostelas yesterday. Yesterday was Tuesday. On Monday, 313. So we're stabilizing around 200-300 a day now. Okay, so COVID-wise, there's a new restriction that have been lifted in Spain the last week since my last video. And this is the one saying that you have to quarantine if you get tested positive for COVID. As it is now with the new rule, if you have no symptoms, you're recommended, they advise you to please put a mask on at all times and be careful and not mingle with too many people, but you're not required by law to quarantine. So little by little, we're opening up our COVID restrictions in Spain. And in the article you see here on the screen is some people asking for that the masks that we wear inside should also be taken away. The rule that says you have to wear a mask inside. This is still the law, and you have to wear a mask inside when you're in a public space inside. But it looks like there's some rumors saying that maybe when Easter comes around, that rule will go away, although nothing has been announced yet. And then one last thing I found interesting this morning in the newspaper, actually, there was an old photo from 1858 from the Parador, which is, if you've been to Santiago, you know that on the Obradoiro Square, that's the big square in front of the cathedral, you have the cathedral in front of you. To your right, you have the university. Behind you, you have the town hall. And to your left, you have the Parador, which is now in a 5-star hotel. But you could see this photo. It's one of the oldest photos, I think, that we have in Galicia. And it's from 1858. And it's the photo of the Parador. And that's the building you see there is pretty much exactly what you see when you arrive onto the square today. I thought that was quite interesting. All right, and then on to the interview that went so horribly wrong. This is the pilgrim that I met the other day, and I asked her how it was to walk right now, and she had a wonderful time. She had a good experience. She was traveling by herself from the US, I believe, and she found very fast a couple of friends, and they walked all the rest of the way into Santiago together. She said that there's no problem finding places to stay. The places that she stayed at was at 50% occupancy, because the rule in Galicia, as far as I understand, I've been trying to research this to find out what the current rule is for albergues and hotels regarding COVID. And it's impossible to find it. But it sounds like, after talking to her, that they're at 50%. Because the last rule that I heard of that was announced was before Christmas, and the rule was that if you ask everyone that stay there for a COVID passport, meaning that everyone that stays in that place have shown a COVID passport, a valid COVID passport or valid COVID paperwork, you could be at 100%. But if you don't ask for a COVID passport or COVID paperwork, you are limited to 50% occupancy. So what she told me that the places she stayed, they were all at 50% occupancy, which makes kind of sense if you think about it, because there's not a lot of pilgrims right now, and even at 50%, you might not even get to 50% occupancy if you try and take in everyone that comes by. So anyway, that was her experience. She felt safe. She used Booking.com to reserve. No one asked for COVID passport, as I mentioned before, probably because they were at 50% occupancy. Not so many pilgrim at all. She didn't find it busy. Of course, she was walking the last bit of the Camino Francés, which is usually very busy. So she was passing by the village, and people were saying that, oh, you're so lucky to walk this bit of the Camino when it's quiet, because in a couple of weeks, come Easter, this is going to be much, much more busy. She said she met Camino Ninja. If you may have heard of him, or if not, if you Google Camino Ninja, you'll find he has a website and some applications, mobile applications for lodging information. He was walking the Camino right now, updating his app and getting everything updated. So his apps and his information shows what albergues are open. She said a lot of them were going to open April 1st. Many of them were already open, but a lot of them would open April 1st, she said. So that was pretty much it. She said that, and then she mentioned that she don't trust the weather apps, she was saying, because it seems she was walking 5 or 6 days, and her application weather app was saying that it was going to rain 100% all days, and she got 1 hour of rain. So that was her message. Don't trust the weather app. So anyway, that was my conversation that went so horribly wrong with no audio. Anyway, it was a short one anyway, and I hope I got all the points mentioned that we talked about. So that's pretty much it. Hope things are good where you are, and stay safe. Ciao.